I'm Sarah Ann.
And I'm Marcus. So, Sarah Ann, what's new? I mean, anything at all? Anything?
Well, I do have some really big news.
Okay.
I'm expecting.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, there's nothing more important than family. In fact, that's what makes our work here today even more important.
That's right, because we're here to teach family drivers how to stay safe when they drive by using the Smith system.
For more than 6 decades, the Smith system has been used by many of the world's largest and most respected companies to keep their drivers safe behind the wheel, on the job, and off.
But the same principles that make a good driver on the job can be used to help family drivers stay safe on the road, too.
Now, whether you've got a new baby, a teenage driver getting behind the wheel for the first time, or even just yourself, you've got precious cargo in your vehicle.
We want to make sure everybody gets home safely. Many drivers fail to give the proper attention to their driving habits until it's too late. But developing good driving habits and decision-making skills will keep you and your family safe. So listen up.
It's every driver's responsibility to ensure that you and your passengers get to your destination safely. What you learn today could save lives, including yours and those of your family.
Let's get started with some safety precautions you should take before you even get behind the wheel.
You know, Sarah Ann, my life really changed when my wife and I had our first child. You know, I remember driving my wife and baby home from the hospital. It really dawned on me for the first time that as the driver, I was responsible for their safety. It's something I'll never forget.
I understand. I feel that way right now, but I also worry that being a new parent might make it a little bit more challenging for me to follow the first safety precaution, which is to be well rested.
Oh, it's true. You know, an adult should really get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And by the time your children become teens and young adults, they'll need 9 to 10 hours per night. But things happen.
Yes, I might be up all night with a sick child and still have to go to work in the morning. That's life. But knowledge is power, right?
That's right. The power to be safe. While you're not always going to be able to get all the sleep you need, there are a few things you should know about driving while fatigued so you can be aware and avoid it whenever possible.
Here's an eye-opening statistic. Driving drowsy is one of the leading causes of vehicular collisions, and incidents of fatal collisions due to drowsy driving are on the rise. People may not realize that driving drowsy has the same cognitive effect as driving drunk.
Driving drowsy doesn't just mean that you're falling asleep at the wheel. Being fatigued means your alertness, reaction time, judgment, and decision-making are all compromised. The consequences can be tragic.
Most people correctly assume that the middle of the night, early morning hours between midnight and 4 a.m., are when drowsy driving crashes are most likely to happen.
That's true, but your body's natural clock rotates between wake and sleep cycles every 12 hours. So the hours between 2 and 4 p.m. are also dangerous for most people since at that time, your body is probably shifting back into a sleep cycle.
This is unfortunately about the time many parents are driving to pick up their kids from school, and you need to be extra alert to pedestrians and crossing zones and the many other distractions drivers face at this time of day.
That's right. But even if you're wide awake, you should always be on the lookout for others who may not be so attentive, like kids darting between parked cars or teenagers glued to their phones instead of watching where they're going.
And speaking of phones, don't use your mobile phone while driving. I mean, duh. There's a good reason many communities ban cell phone use while driving. You can't be alert to what's happening around you if you're looking at your phone or, even worse, texting.
In fact, a recent study found that drivers who text are 23 times more likely to be involved in a collision. So always check your email, text, and social media before you drive. Also, set your phone to the Do Not Disturb setting. This can let callers know that you're driving and will return their call when you're safely parked.
Another tip is to plan your route before you start driving. You don't want to look at a map when you should be looking at the road. If you use a GPS or one of those map apps, put it in the mode so that it will talk to you instead of you having to look at it.
If you have a long trip, say to grandma's house or an out-of-town game, it's a good idea to plan for regular stops.
not just for obvious reasons like to use the restroom, answer messages, or get a snack, but also to combat the effects of drowsy driving. You might even need to stop in a safe place to take a short nap.
Better to get to your destination a little late than not at all.
Also, be sure to check the weather and road conditions before you leave.
And finally, invest in a good pair of sunglasses. Not only will you look good, you'll see better.
When I started driving, my parents made sure I knew all the basics about preparing my car for a trip, whether it was the drive to college or just a trip around the block.
That's a good idea. I mean, the last thing you want for you or anyone in your family is to have to stop your vehicle on the side of the road to change a flat tire. With so many distracted drivers looking at their phones instead of the road, it's a very dangerous position to be in.
Over 3,000 deaths per year happen when a distracted driver hits a stopped vehicle or its driver or passengers on the side of the road.
Definitely something that no parent, spouse, sibling, child, or human for that matter wants to contemplate. So, here are a few things that you can do to make sure that doesn't happen.
Before entering, start by taking a quick walk around your vehicle, checking for any objects you might not be able to see from the driver's seat.
Check your tires for wear and tear, and make sure they are properly inflated and have the safe tread depth. Many places that sell tires are happy to check those for free.
Also, make sure your fluid levels, wiper blades, heater, and defroster are in good working order.
This is a really important safety tip for you, Sarah Ann. Make sure children's car seats are installed properly and that you use one every single time a child rides in your vehicle. Did you know that according to the CDC, in 2015, 663 children ages 12 and younger died as occupants in motor vehicle collisions? More staggering is that 132,000 more were injured during that same year. Unfortunately, most of these deaths and injuries were due to children being unrestrained or their car seats were not installed properly. A recent study done by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration found 46% of car and booster seats were being misused.
That is a scary thought. I can see why it's possible to make a mistake when installing a car seat because there are so many kinds and they install differently depending on the design of the car seat, the size of the child, and other factors.
Most newer vehicles are equipped with a latch system, which stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. But some models of vehicles use the seatbelt to secure the car seat. Be sure to read both the manufacturer's instructions and your vehicle's manual to make sure you are installing the car seat correctly and using the right anchors and tethers for the seat position.
Even if you think you're installing it correctly, you should have a professional check it. In most cases, your local fire department will check to make sure you are doing it correctly.
Here's another important tip. Pack loose items like groceries or sports equipment or backpacks in the trunk or secure them in the vehicle to prevent the objects from flying into the back of your head or someone else's in the event of a sudden stop or collision.
That goes for pets too. Put Fido or Fluffy in a harness or crate secured to the back seat or cargo area to keep them from jumping in your lap or otherwise distracting you from the really important job of driving safely.
Remember to always fasten your seatbelt and make sure everyone else is wearing theirs. And no cheating. In order for airbags to be effective, the occupants must wear their seatbelt. Airbags are a supplement, not replacement for your seatbelt.
Always, always wear your seatbelt and make your passengers stay safely strapped in as well. Why take the risk?
Finally, before you drive away, put yourself in the right frame of mind. That means use your common sense. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive like a speed racer. And if another driver cuts you off or honks at you in anger, just let it go. Don't escalate.
It is so not worth an unpleasant or potentially dangerous situation.
Okay, now that we've covered how to prepare for driving, do you think our viewers are ready for the 5 keys?
I think so. First, we have to tell them what the 5 keys are all about, right? And why they need them.
First of all, the 5 keys are 5 principles that, if you follow them, will make you drive safer. Now, most people probably think they are already good drivers, especially if you've been driving for a while. Often, it's those who are just learning to drive who are paying the closest attention.
Although we should all be paying close attention and driving like we're carrying the world's most precious cargo, because we are, unfortunately, we can make the best plans and be the most careful driver in the world, but out there in traffic land, there are situations you can't control. As a driver, you are responsible for your own safety and that of your passengers.
The 5 keys will help you gain a better awareness of the road by predicting other drivers' behaviors, seeing potential hazards up ahead on the road, and having the time, space, and visibility to make decisions, react appropriately, and avoid a collision.
Let's see how drivers can use the 5 keys on a typical day full of work, school, grocery shopping, errands, soccer practice, and generally playing chauffeur for your kids.
It's about 7 a.m. and our family is getting ready to leave the house for a busy day that starts with dropping the teenager at school and the dad at the airport for a business trip.
It looks like the driver is going through her pre-driving checklist. Loose items are secured, the car seat is properly installed, and everyone is strapped into their seatbelts and ready to go.
Before she even starts the car, the driver makes sure her mirrors are properly adjusted and everyone's seatbelt and car seat are properly fastened. When everyone's settled, she slowly and carefully backs out of the driveway and heads to the school.
So let's take a look at the first of the 5 keys, aim high in steering. Aim high in steering means that you're looking farther up the road than other drivers.
As we can see, the driver is paying close attention to the road ahead.
To do this yourself, simply look up ahead to where your vehicle will be 15 seconds from now. Depending on your speed, this could be a couple of blocks or up to a quarter mile.
We call this eye lead time. Looking 15 seconds in front of you gives you time to identify potential problems and take steps to avoid them.
It's also important to know what's going on around you, which brings us to the next key. Get the big picture.
That means seeing more around you than other drivers by noticing what's happening beside and behind your car. To achieve this goal, it's important to maintain the proper following distance at all times. We recommend a minimum of 4 seconds of following distance for most vehicles under ideal conditions. Increase your following distance should weather or road conditions deteriorate. To check this distance, pick out a stationary object ahead. When the vehicle in front goes past this point, start counting. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Once you've established the proper following distance, remember to keep your eyes moving, which happens to be the 3rd key. Mom has got this one down.
This key will help you remain more alert than other drivers. Instead of staring straight ahead, constantly scan across your field of vision and check at least one of your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds. Your surroundings will be constantly changing, but by keeping your eyes moving, you can keep track of what's happening and have time to react in case there is a problem, outside the car or in.
Putting together the first 3 keys is what we mean by good seeing skills. You're aiming high and looking ahead a minimum of 15 seconds. You're getting the big picture around you by maintaining proper following distance, and your eyes are constantly scanning your surroundings looking for signs of trouble.
The more you practice good seeing skills, the more things you'll notice, and you'll be in a good position to exercise key 4. Leave yourself an out. Drivers who use this key plan ahead better than other drivers.
This means give yourself a cushion of space around your vehicle, knowing how big it is and where it is. It's like a safety zone that gives you room for your occasional mistakes as well as the mistakes of others, plus an escape route if the unexpected happens.
Where your out is will change according to the traffic and situation. But being aware of where your out is at any given time can make the critical difference between having a collision and avoiding one.
The 5th and final key is to make sure they see you. We hope that other drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists are paying attention, but you can't count on it. Making eye contact or using your warning devices properly lets another driver, pedestrian, or cyclist at an intersection know that you see them and will let them cross safely.
You may need to give a friendly honk at a car drifting into your lane. Use every form of communication at hand to make sure they see you or at least hear you. Always using your turn indicator and keeping your headlights on also helps others see you and lets them know your intentions.
These 5 keys are simple and common sense, but they are also very effective. Smith's system has been using these principles for over 65 years to teach drivers how to avoid collisions and stay safe on the road.
It's really all about making sure you have space plus visibility plus time, which all adds up to safer driving.
Meaning you have adequate space around your vehicle so you have a place to maneuver to in case of an emergency, the visibility to see what's happening around you, and time to react in case there's a problem. That's it.
Oh, you think we're done? We're not done. There's one more important set of tips you need to know.
What am I forgetting?
What happens when you're not driving but you're parking? If you've ever been to a shopping center during the holidays, you'll know that parking is a blood sport for some people. And parking in a remote or dark parking lot can be scary. You want to make sure you're extra vigilant to protect your own safety and that of your vehicle.
Oh yeah, that's important. When you're choosing a parking spot, think backing avoidance. Look for one where you can pull through to the other side and avoid having to back out. I know it may feel like you're going against convention, but it's easier and safer to pull forward to exit a parking spot than it is to back out. This may not always be possible in parking lots that have angled parking spaces.
And if you do have to back out, it's easier to back in the direction of the driver's side where you have visibility rather than on your blind side where you have less.
If your vehicle is equipped with a backup camera, that can help, but it's no substitute for your eyes. You still have to check your mirrors and look behind and in front of you to make sure you don't clip your front end because you're focused only on the back. If you still are unsure of the area around your vehicle, get out and walk around the vehicle to check for objects which might be hidden before backing up.
Let's talk personal safety. It doesn't matter if you're a petite young woman or a big tough man. Park in a well-lit space, remove packages and objects from the vehicle to prevent a break-in, and always lock your doors.
It's good advice. It can be a scary world out there.
I can understand the urge to keep your kids off the streets and safe at home until they grow up. But life demands that you get out into the world, probably by car, so that's why learning and following the 5 keys and our other tips are so important.
Every time you get into the driver's seat, you assume a big responsibility for everyone in that vehicle. That means you need to be alert and attentive at all times. You never know how distracted or drowsy another driver might be, or what unavoidable situations might arise.
By preparing to drive and following the 5 keys, you are better situated to drive safely, avoid collisions, and potentially save lives.
Here's wishing you and your family many safe and happy adventures.
Take care and enjoy the drive.